Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the bathroom design class. My name is Nick, and I'll be doing the presentation with you today. Just like all of our previous webinars, everybody will be on mute, but if you do happen to have any questions at any point during our class, please feel free to go ahead and type that into the questions and answers section of the Zoom panel. And at the end of the class, I will go through and answer any questions that may have come up. Also, at the end of the class, I will be sending out an email that contains a document that covers everything that we're going to be looking at today. If you do happen to have any questions while going over that document, again, please don't hesitate. You can reach out to our support department between 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and we will be happy to answer any questions you may have. Again, today's class is on bathroom design, and we're going to be basically going through and giving you some guidance on how to create a bathroom in Envisioneer. We're going to be taking a look at how to create and insert custom vanities. We're also going to be looking at how to insert showers. We're going to be doing this by adding in just a custom shower enclosure or by importing a block file that you can use for a custom shower. We're also going to be looking at creating a custom tub surround, and then we're going to be looking at inserting a tub into our tub surround. So first, let's talk about vanities. So there are many vanities that are already existing in the catalog, and you can create your own custom cabinets as well. If you have a vanity that you offer in most of your models, you should add it to your catalog so that you can use it. Adding frequently used elements to the catalog will save you work as you create more models. We're going to be customizing a cabinet next. So each cabinet that you insert into the catalog has numerous properties that you can customize to create a new cabinet. You can edit the height, the width, and the depth of the cabinet. You can change the door style, or you can just simply update the finish to give it a new look. We're going to insert a vanity into our drawing area. So to do that, I'm going to go up and I'm going to select Insert Interiors, and then I'm going to select the Cabinets option. Now, alternatively, if you like to use the buttons, all you have to do is simply select the Interiors tab, and then you can select the Cabinets button. Both options will populate the catalog on the right-hand side with all the different cabinet options available to you. We're going to go in, and I'm going to open up the bathroom vanity option. So I'm going to right-click in here, and I'm just going to say Collapse All, and then I'm just going to go to Bathroom Vanities. And then once I'm in the bathroom vanities, I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to grab the double door subfolder. So if I open up the double door subfolder, here we can see all the different different cabinets that are a part of that catalog or double door options. Let's say that we want to create our own new custom vanity. So let's add a new cabinet to the catalog. So we're going to right click on the double door folder. So I'm not clicking on a cabinet here. I'm just actually clicking right on the double door folder. And then I'm going to say Add Element. Once I select the Add Element option, you're going to get the Define Element dialog box. And in here, it's going to give you two options. It's going to give you the ability to create a new cabinet using the parametric properties of Envisioneer to create a cabinet, or you can use the Custom Block option. Now, the custom block option will allow you to import a file into the program, and this can be in a DWG, a DXF, a 3DS, an IFC, or an SKP file format. We're just going to use the parametric option from within Envisioneer. So we're just going to select the cabinets option, and then we're just going to simply click OK. Now, once you click OK, this is going to give you the ability to add in a cabinet. Now, whatever the last cabinet was that was selected, it's going to use that as the default. So what we want to do here is we want to change how this cabinet looks. So we're basically changing everything about this cabinet. We don't want this to be an upper cabinet. So we're going to change this to be a base cabinet. We can now see that we have a base cabinet. Now, what I also want to change is, and I like to work in the rendered outline view, that way I can see all the details of the cabinet. To do that, you simply right-click in the little preview area, and then you can just simply select Rendered Outline. And now I can see how that cabinet is starting to look. So let's make some more fine-tune adjustments to this cabinet. We're going to go through and under the properties, or sorry, under the basic section, we can change not only the type, but we can also change the actual type of cabinet that's going to be used. So this is a base cabinet, and this base cabinet has different types available. So let's change this one to use type 4. We want there to be a large drawer here, which, since this is going to be a vanity, it's probably going to be a fake drawer or a false drawer, just to allow for a sink to be positioned in here. So we're going to set that up. And now we can start to go through and adjust the actual properties. So what I want to do with this is I'm going to change the heights of, or sorry, the properties of this cabinet. So I want to change the width. We're going to make this cabinet 2 foot 6 inches wide. And what we're going to do next is we're going to change the height. Now, you can adjust the height. This is going to be from the bottom or from the floor to the top of the countertop. So I'm going to leave mine at 3 feet, but you can adjust this to be whatever height that you want. The depth, I'm going to just make this a nice round number. I'm just going to go 1 foot 8. And that's just going to change the depth of our cabinet for us. Now, the other things I like to adjust are the door options. Now, in here, we can control if we want to see the door. So if you uncheck it, it will remove all of the drawer and door fronts. We obviously want to keep those in, so we're going to keep that check marked. But I do want to adjust the actual door spacing. And this is the actual spacing that you're going to see on the edges of the cabinets. Depending on the style of cabinet, you may have more of the cabinet exposed than the door, so you can fine tune and adjust this. I'm just going to make this 1/2 inch. I'm also going to make this an 8-inch front panel. So I'm going to make sure that that's set to 8 inches. So just by making those few fine-tune adjustments, we're changing the way that this cabinet looks, again, by just adjusting the properties. Next, I want to change the leaf option. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to select leaf. Now, under leaf, you can see we have, again, different types: flat, panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, glass 1, glass 2, glass 3. Or you can insert your own custom leaf if you want to. We're going to use panel 1. Now, with panel 1 selected, I can see that it's set to apply to door. So I can see that the door is using the panel. The rails and the stiles have a spacing of 1 3/16 of an inch. I want that to be 2 inches. So I'm just going to change that to be 2 inches. And that's just going to increase the size of that shaker style cabinet. Now, the profile is set to recessed. You can make this a dadoed edge. You can make it, again, a recessed edge. We're just going to keep ours set to recessed. But I also want the drawer to match the doors. So I'm going to use the little drop down here, and I'm going to change it from door to drawer. And now you can see that it's saying we now have a flat panel 1, panel 2, or panel 3, or a custom option. We want it to match our door below. So we're just going to say panel 1. And I'm going to make sure that this is set to recessed. And it's going to have a rail style of 2 inches. So now our door and our drawer leaves are complete and they match, so we're good with that. Next is our details tab. Now here is where you can customize the countertop, the backsplash, the nosing, adding in shelving units if you want to. You can also adjust the toe space and the hardware that's being used. So we're going to keep our counter as 1 inch. The backsplash, I'm going to say, no, I don't want a backsplash on here. I'm going to do something different in my bathroom. So I'm going to get rid of the backsplash. The nosing, I'm not going to make any adjustments to it. And I'm also not going to adjust the shelves in here. I'm going to leave those as is. Now, right now, the toe space is set to none. So it's not including a toe space so that when we're standing in front of this, it's comfortable to stand in front of. So we're going to change that, and we can just do an indent. And then you can say, I want the height to be, and we're going to make the height here 4 inches, and we're going to make the depth 3 inches. And that's going to create our toe kick. Now, maybe we don't want a toe kick. Maybe we want this cabinet to be set to be floating. Now, when you set it to floating, what it's going to do is it's actually just going to remove the bottom part of that cabinet, And now you can adjust the actual height. So how high off of the floor do you want this cabinet to sit? So if I go 8 inches and I just press tab, it's going to adjust the base so that it sits 8 inches off of the floor, and it adjusts the actual doors to accommodate that. So it's not reducing the drawer, it's just reducing the doors. You can again adjust this to whoever you feel is going to be most comfortable. So you can set that down to 6 inches. Again, whatever the design calls for, you can accommodate that by either setting it to indent, none, or floating. I'm going to leave mine set to floating. I like the floating look. So now we can adjust the hardware. By default, we have 3 options for hardware: box, cylinder, and circle. You can also adjust the actual position of the hardware itself. Alternatively, and I have done this in some of my projects, I will have it set to none. And what I will then do is I will add in my own hardware and I will just elevate it into place, and then I will copy it around so that it sits in front of every cabinet. That is one way to add in your own custom hardware. We're going to use the defaults here, so I'm just going to change this to be a cylinder option, and then we can see how it adds in that cylinder style to the drawer and to the doors. And then I'm just going to adjust the actual height as to where it's going to sit, and I'm just going to set that to be 1'6", and oops, it's a little bit too high. We'll go 1'5", tab, still a bit high. There we go. So at 1'4", we're getting pretty close to where we want that to be. I'm just going to go down just a bit more. There we go. So that allows you to position exactly where you want the hardware to sit on that door. So now we've adjusted the style of cabinet. We've adjusted the style of leaf that we want attached to the cabinet. We've adjusted the details to show the counters, the backsplashing if we want it, the nosing, the toe space, and the hardware. So now let's take a look at appearance. Now, appearance allows you to adjust the actual materials that are going to be used for that cabinet. So you can go through here and you can adjust the actual material for each component of that cabinet. And the only one I'm going to change here is the handle. I'm going to go from an appliance stainless steel, and I'm just going to use a matte black option here. I think that'll go well with the color scheme of the cabinet. So under finishes, I'm just going to scroll all the way down to matte black, and then we're just going to change that to be the matte black finish. Other than that, I'm happy with the way that that looks. Next is line work. Now, the line work tab is used for when you're displaying this in your 2D plan views, when you're working in your model space, as well as how this cabinet is going to look when you insert it into a working drawing sheet. So what layers do you want this cabinet to be attached to? As you can see, you can apply different layers to different components, but by default, everything is set to cabinets for you by default. The quantity tab controls the quantity information for that cabinet. So if you want to create a custom cabinet, you can give it a unique part number and you can adjust accordingly. And then we have the behavior tab. And this is important because this is going to adjust where that cabinet sits in relation to the plan. So we want to make sure that that is set to 0. We do not want that sitting 7'6" in the air. So I'm just going to tab out of there. And then the other thing we want to make sure is that the snap edge is set to the back of the cabinet. We want to make sure that the back of the cabinet sits up against the wall. So we've now adjusted everything that makes up this cabinet. I'm just going to go back to the basic tab. The only thing we need to change is the name. Now you can manually type in a name if you want to, or you can just simply click auto name and it will give you an auto name for that cabinet. So I'm going to change this one just to be we'll do 2'6". We're just going to do 2'6" by 3 foot, 0 inches, and we're going to call this base vanity cabinet. And we're just going to say cabinet because it's just the one cabinet there. So we've used the auto name and we've tweaked it to match exactly what we want that to say. After we're happy with everything, all we have to simply do is say OK. And now we have a brand new base vanity that we can add into our file. So I'm just going to go into 2D. And we're going to go in, I'm just going to delete that out. And we're going to go in, we're going to select this base vanity. And then we're going to make sure that collision is turned on. And now we can place this vanity cabinet into our design. And if we take a look at that and we pull our camera around, oh, it looks like I have my base point wrong too. So we're going to select the vanity, and under behavior, yes, I did not adjust that. So we're going to delete those guys out, and we're going to go in here, and under behavior, we're just going to make sure that the insertion point is set to down to 0, and this was 1'3". And then we're going to say OK. So that just adjusts how it's going to be inserted. So now when we insert it, it's going to insert correctly. So my mistake there, I forgot to adjust the Z value. And then we can just insert this a couple of times. And while we're here, let's take a look at this in a rendered outline view. And we can now see our cabinet and how it's floating above the floor. I'm just going to go into 2D. I find it easier to work in 2D when I'm trying to manipulate my plan views. So now that we're back into 2D, the next thing we're going to be taking a look at is showers. So when you want to insert a shower into your design, you can insert a shower unit from the catalog, or you can use walls to create a custom shower enclosure. We're going to look at both in today's class. So the first option we're going to use is just inserting a shower. So the Envisioneer catalog contains a variety of shower units that you can easily insert into your design. So if we go up to our plumbing fixtures, so again, we're under the interiors tab here. We can select plumbing fixtures. If you like to use the menu, under insert, under interiors, under plumbing fixtures, you will open up the catalog to show all the different plumbing fixtures available to you. We want to open up the showers option. And as you can see here, we have a couple of different shower options available. So we have shower module S, and they're just basic sizes here. So we have a 3-foot, a 4-foot, and a 5-foot shower unit. We can have a different type of shower. Again, just adjusting the type of shower that we want to bring in. Or, and I just inserted that one by mistake, delete that one out. We can use one of the other options here, and you can see all the different styles. And then we have a neo angle. Now, this one fits in nicely here because it's going to go right into that corner. And all I have to simply do is bring it into place and left click once to insert it. And what that does is it just inserts that shower into the corner. Now, I can simply just elevate this shower up just a little bit here. So I'm going to go up 1/8 of an inch so it sits off of the floor. And that's going to get rid of the bleed effect of the floor finish sitting inside of the shower unit. So that's one way to add in a shower. Newer designs like to call for more custom showers. So we're going to get rid of this shower and we're going to build our own shower. So custom showers, again, are a popular design feature in today's homes. We're going to use the Envisioneer walls and door styles to create a custom shower stall to meet your design needs. So let's go back into 2D. And we're going to use this corner as our guide. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to go up and I'm going to select a 2x4 interior wall. So I'm just going to go up to building, walls, and I'm just going to use a 2x4 interior wall. I'm going to bring my mouse into my drawing area. I'm going to right click and I'm just going to select the enter insertion offset option. And I'm just going to set that to be 4 feet. And once I say OK, it's now going to snap that wall 4 feet from the corner. And I can just simply left click once to place that in. Once I've placed that first wall in, I can start to move my mouse down. And as soon as I get close to 4 feet, I'm just going to left click and then I'm just going to drag the mouse all the way across. So we've created a new space here that we can see that is 4 feet wide this way. And we're going to go in and say we want it to be a 4-foot by 4-foot shower. So I'm just going to adjust the dynamic dimensions to accommodate that. So you can see we now have 4 feet from interior to interior. and from interior to interior. So now what we're going to do is we're going to adjust these two walls. So the first thing I want to do is I want to adjust these two walls right here. So I'm going to select these two walls. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go into the properties. Now, right now, this wall is set to be 8 feet high. Well, I only want this to be a half height wall. So I'm going to change the height to be 4 feet. Once I set it to 4 feet, we're going to make some more adjustments to this wall. So right now it's using drywall on both sides of the wall, and we're also seeing trim that's going to show up in the shower. Well, I don't want this to have drywall exposed, and I don't want trim on this wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this. So we're going to go under the components, and right here we can see that it is showing up as a 1/2 inch 4x8 primed and painted component. Well, I don't want that to be the actual finish. I want that finish to just be a tile. So I can go in and I can add in a tile wet room. And what this will do is if I go into the quantities, it's going to include the ceramic tile grout, the waterproofing membrane, as well as the ceramic tile adhesive. So if I want my quantities to reflect that this is going to be in a wet area, I want to make sure it's including that waterproofing membrane, then I'm going to use this option. I'm going to say OK. Under the left layer, I'm also going to add in my drywall. And in this case, I want my water-resistant drywall to be used, but I don't want it to be primed and painted. I just want the, we can use cement board or the water-resistant, whichever one you want. I'm going to use the cement board, and I'm just going to say, OK. I'm going to do the same for the right side because, again, I'm going to have on both the left and the right. I want to make sure this is a completely safe room for drywall, or sorry, no drywall in this area for water. And again, I'm just going to make sure that that is using the 1/2 inch 4x8 cement board. And then we're changing the right side to also be my tile wet room. So we've now gone through, we've adjusted the left and the right finish to be tile, and we've adjusted the left and the right layer to be our cement board. Now we can say, okay, under trim, right now it's set to custom. Well, I don't want the trim to show up on either side of this wall. So I'm going to go into edit, advanced. And where it says I want the left and the right side, I can see baseboard and opening. I'm just going to go in and say, I do not want to include either of those. And I'm going to do that for both the left and the right side. You could also just go in and you could just remove the trim from this wall as well. But if you ever wanted to replace it for some reason, I'm showing you how you can just turn it off. And then we're just going to say OK. And we can then say OK. And what you're going to see now is the new wall being added in. I'm going to go back into the properties of those two walls. And I do want to change the name. So right now it's set to 2x4 interior wall. I want to call this 2x4, and we're just going to call it tile shower wall. Sorry, I had wall in there. And then we're just going to simply say OK to that. Now we're going to have the same issue on this side and on this side. So we need to determine how we want to fix this. Now, ideally, what you probably want to do here is you want to make sure that the wall was using the exact material that you wanted in those areas. So we're going to make sure that we use these walls here to adjust their properties. So just like you did in version 16, when you select the wall, you can look at your green and look towards your red, and that will let you know what side of the wall you're working with. So here we can see that the right-hand side of the wall is what we want to adjust. And on this side, again, the right-hand side is what we want to adjust. So I'm just going to change these two options. So I'm going to select both walls, properties. Under the component, we're going to go to the right. And here we can see that we want to adjust the interior finish here. So we're going to change this to be our tiled finish. And then we're going to add in our cement board. Now, our cement board isn't going to be a finish, it's going to be a barrier. So we're going to make sure that that's the barrier, and then that is our finish. And then we're going to say, okay. Again, trim. We're going to remove the interior trim off of this wall. So under advanced, we want to change this to be custom. And we're just going to change it to that. And then what I can do is just remove it from the actual wall. So again, we're not going to see trim in that shower area. So now we can see the trim or the shower is now being included. Now, right now, what we're seeing here is when two walls intersect, it's creating an intersection. So we can do a couple of different things here. We can go in, and what I like to typically do here is I usually just break the wall at a set point, and then I can adjust where I want that tile to start and stop. So over here, I'm going to type in L for line, and I'm just going to grab a point, and I'm just going to go over, we'll say 4 inches. I'm going to repeat that one more time over here. We're going to use this point, and I'm going to go over 4 inches, and we're going to do something like that. What this will do is it's giving me an actual break point. So I can select this wall, right-click, break, and I'm essentially just breaking the wall on that line. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. We're going to go and say break. We're just going to break that wall on that line. The reason I'm doing this is I'm going to go in and I'm going to tell it, well, I don't want this wall to actually intersect with the main wall. I'm just going to bring it back here just a bit so that way it doesn't intersect, so it doesn't actually break the wall and add in that intersection. However, I want these two walls that we see here to match up with this. So I'm just going to go in and say, I want to select these two walls, and we're just going to adjust the properties just like we did for the other side. We're just going to do the same thing here. So we're just going to change it to be, again, tile finish, or sorry, tile wet room. We're going to add in our 4x8 sheets. We're going to change it to be a barrier. And then we're going to say, okay. And now when we look, we're going to see the tile extending past the wall, and we need to remove the trim. Sorry, I forgot the trim option. So we're just going to select these two properties, and we're going to get rid of the trim. And we're going to say custom. And then under advanced, we are going to get rid of the baseboard and any opening that would be added into that wall. So that's going to get rid of the trim around that area. I'm just going to select these options. And again, we're just going to change the name. And this is going to be a 2x6 brick wall with tile interior. So we're just giving it a unique name, something that will be easily identifiable when we're looking at it in our views and when we hover over top of it. So now we've added in our tiled area. Now what we need to do is we need to create our glass that's going to sit above our actual shower. So to do that, we are actually going to add in a new location. So we're going to go down, we're going to select our building locations. And under our building locations dialog, we're going to create a location called shower glass. This location is going to have a floor level of 5 feet, which is going to be 4 feet off of the floor level of the ground floor. We will create this location so that a glass wall can be built to sit on top of the tiled shower wall that we just inserted, which is again is at 4 feet tall. Walls on the same location cannot be stacked on top of each other, so a new location is going to be added to accommodate that glass wall. So to create a new location, we're going to click the Add Location button. And again, you can see I still have ground floor selected, and I'm just going to select Add Location. We're going to select the Calculate from Grade option, and then we're going to say OK. And it's going to ask you to give it a new name. We're going to change the name to be Shower Glass. Now it's going to ask for the actual wall heights. Now the wall height that we want for this is going to be 4 feet. Ceiling height and head height, we're not going to be too worried about it because we're not going to be adding anything in here. So we're just going to leave those as they stand. And the only thing we're adjusting here is the floor level. I want this to be at 5 feet. We're already sitting 1 foot above our terrain, and I'm adding it in 4 feet above our ground floor. So that's why we need to add it in as 5 foot. So we're doing the 1 foot plus the 4 foot to give us the 5 foot. And we say OK. We can see our new location has been added, and we can say OK. I'm going to go back into 2D plan view. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to select these two walls, 1 and 2, and I'm going to duplicate them to our shower glass wall. I'm going to say OK. And then I'm just going to switch to the shower glass location. And then I'm just going to select these two walls, right click, and I'm just going to replace it with a partition. We're just going to use a glass partition. And then we're going to say OK. So what we did there is I just basically took the walls and then I duplicated them up and I replaced them with a new type of wall. So now we have our glass wall here. We can fine tune this. I really want this to sit more towards the exterior side because I do want to have a nice ledge in here. So that way I have somewhere to store my soaps and my shampoos or whatnot. So I'm just going to move the glass edge here. So we're going to select this wall, move, and I'm just going to move it so that it sits right above our wall there. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this wall. I'm just going to select it, move, and we're just going to move it down so that it sits like so. You can get real fine detail to this. You can add in a cap on here if you wanted to so that you can show it with an actual granite cap on it. You can get as detailed as you want with the shower layout. We're going to add in a door next. So let's add in a shower door. So you can use the doors tool to insert a door in the custom shower. We are going to add in a glass shower door so that it sits in our wall and it's going to create a curb so water doesn't leak out. So we're going to select doors. And then underneath our doors, you're going to see we have a custom option and you're going to see a glass shower door. We're just going to simply select that glass shower door. We're going to bring it into our drawing area and we're going to drop it in. Now, right now I have it inserting on the glass side, so I'm going to delete that out. I should be on the ground floor. And then I'm going to do that again. And we're just going to drop that glass shower door in. And we're going to say that that should be 4 inches away. So we're just going to say 4 inches. And that adds in that glass shower. Now it's going to automatically cut around the glass as well because it is a wall. So it will cut the glass away as well. And we can start to take a look at how this is set up. So we want this to actually, and we're going to say elevate. And I want this to sit 3 inches off of the ground. What that does is it creates a curb. My glass walls, I want to make some adjustments to this. If I don't leave a gap at the top here, I'm going to get a lot of condensation in there. So I want to adjust the actual heights. So I'm going to say I want the actual wall height to be 3 foot 6 inches. And that will just drop the glass down. So again, we have room for ventilation in our shower area. I'm also going to change the material that's being used because right now it's using what we call common glass and it has a bit of a tint to it. So we can go into the properties and under appearance, We can just change the glass to be window glass. So we scroll down, we can say window glass. And this will be more of a transparent glass, so it may not look like anything, but when you actually render it, it will cast reflections and it will be a bit shiny. So you will see the actual glass when you render it. So that is how you can add in a shower. Now we're going to be looking at adding in our tubs. So I'm just going to go back into 2D plan view here, and we're going to add in a tub in this area here. So the catalog contains a wide variety of tubs that you can insert into your designs. You can also download elements off of the internet that are in SKP, DWG, 3DS, or DXF or IFC file formats, and then import them into the program. Many manufacturers create 3D blocks of their fixtures so that you can incorporate them into your designs. Make sure that the block that you are importing is in a 3D format, or else it will just be a 2D symbol on your plan views. We're going to create a custom tub surround for our bathroom. So for spa tubs, you will need to create a platform enclosure to surround the unit. You can use the walls and the surfaces tools to create a custom tub surround of any height and shape. First, we're going to add the tiled shower wall to the catalog, so that way we can use it for our tub surround. So I'm going to go up, I'm going to select File, Catalogs, Save Element to Catalog, and I'm just going to click on that 2x4 tile shower wall, and I'm going to say OK. Would you like to save anything else? No. So now we have our new tiled wall in here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to let the catalog save, and then we're going to insert this into our design. So now that the tile has been saved, what we're going to do now is we're going to simply select that tiled wall. And I'm just going to click on this corner. I'm going to move my mouse down, and let's just go down, we'll say 7 feet. So I'm going to type in 7 feet, and I'm going to hit enter. I'm then just going to stretch this wall back so that it matches up with that wall. This is going to leave us with about 3'7" in between, and this is where our toilet is going to live. So that should be plenty of room. When I take a look at this in a 3D view, I can now see my wall is added in, but it's way too high. I'm not going to be able to get into that tub area. So we're going to make some adjustments to this. So I'm going to go back into 2D. Now, again, just like we had the issue here where it intersects with a wall, here it's going to intersect with our shower. And when we create an intersection, it creates it using triangulated areas. So it's going to create like a triangle look here. Well, again, I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to simply select this wall, right-click, break, and I'm just going to break this right at this point right here. So we're just going to break this wall right here. And it's not letting me snap here. So just give me a moment here to try and get a snap point. Try and get as close as I can. There we go. So now what we get is our break in that wall right there. Over here, we're again just going to stop it from extending into the actual wall. So that way, again, it's just going to be framed out like so. I could do the same thing over here. I don't have to break it. I could just simply go in and stretch this wall back, and then I can just get rid of this extra wall that we're seeing here. We'll get rid of that. And then I can just stretch this guy back so that it meets up as close as I can get to that wall, like so. And then I can fine tune the measurements here. We'll just go 6 foot, and we'll say 6'7". We'll say okay. And that's going to move that edge back for us. So again, we're just playing around with the dimensions here to accommodate that. Looks like my floor got deleted there. So let's go Control Z and see where that floor went. There it is there. And I'm just going to change that to be And then we'll go back into 3D. I'm not sure why the floor is removing there, so I'll put the floor back in. We're going to select these two walls, right click, properties. And now all we need to do is adjust the actual height of this wall. So we're going to say that I want this wall to sit 1 foot 10 inches. That's going to be a comfortable height to step into, and it will house the actual tub. So we're going to say 1 foot 10. What that does is it now creates a shorter wall for that area. We're going to add in a new floor in here. So I'm just going to go in and select my floors, and we're just going to do a ceramic. We'll do a like so, and we'll place that guy in. So now we're going to have our new floor in here, and we're just going to cycle select because I think there is, not sure what that is. Delete. There we go. So now we have our new floor added in. And now that we have the tub surround added in, what we're now going to do is we're going to add in a surface. So if we go to our surfaces option, we have already a general surfaces, and there's a marble countertop already in here. So I'm just going to use the marble countertop, and I'm just going to go add element. And I'm just going to change the name of this to be tub surround. And then I'm just going to get rid of the word countertop. And this tub surround, we're going to change the material to match what we want the tub surround to have. So it was using a different material. So we're going to use the same tile. And I'm just going to grab everything. So I'm going to hold my shift key down and select all of the components. And then we're going to change it to be the Carrara marble herringbone. So we're going to go down to, I believe that's going to be underneath my wall tile. And we're going to go down to, which one are you? There it is there. And we're going to say, okay. And then mapping, we're going to make sure that it is set to that. And then when we add in our tub surround, we can actually pick our points as to where we want it to sit. So I'm just going to pick my points here. And we can fine tune again the actual placement of everything after we've got it inserted. And now it's going to ask us to define the height of this surface. Well, again, we made it 1 inch thick, and it's sitting 1 foot 10 inches. We need this to be 1 foot 11 inches, but we want it to be flat. So I'm going to make sure I lock that in, and we're just going to say 1 foot 11 inches. Say okay. And again, what that's going to do is going to create that platform that's going to sit right on top of our tub. We're going to go in, and I'm just going to move some of these points around because, again, it's not snapping to the edge of the material that I was expecting. So we're just going to move it around so that it snaps to or gets as close to the edges of the materials that we want, like so. And then again, I'm just using my flywheel on my mouse to zoom in here. And again, I'm just going to get that close to where I want, like so. And now we have our platform. So now that we have the platform added in, let's add the tub in. So underneath the tub option, we're going to insert a tub into this area. So I'm going to go back under my interiors tab, under my plumbing fixtures. I'm going to go to bathtubs, and I'm just going to grab a bathtub. I'm just going to grab this drop-in tub. I'm going to bring it in, and it's going to prevent me from inserting this exactly where I want. And that's because I have collision turned on. Collision, again, does not allow you to place objects inside of other objects. So no matter what tub you actually select, it's going to prevent you from inserting it because of collision. So we're just going to simply unselect collision. I'm going to bring the bathtub in, and then I'm going to place it in the middle of the room. I'm going to rotate it, and now I'm going to drop it in where I want it to sit. We want that tub to sit. We'll go close to the edge here, just enough room so that we can actually insert a faucet underneath the window. and we're going to place it in right there. So now I can see my tub in my tub surround, but I'm seeing the actual tile all the way through. Well, I need to cut the actual surface out. So if we go back into a 3D, just select the surface, go back to 2D, then you can go up to Edit and select Previous. And this will allow you to select the previously selected element, which was that surface. Now all I have to do is go right-click, cut opening. And I'm just going to pick right in the middle. This is that round flange of the tub. So I'm just kind of picking in here just to get it close to where I want that to sit. And again, we're going to get the cutout added in. Now that the cutout's added in, I can curve the edges. I can just go in and say curve. We're going to curve that edge so that sits right in the middle. We're going to curve this edge so that sits right in the middle. And then we're going to curve this one. Again, just to keep it consistent and following the shape of the actual tub, like so. So now what we're going to see is our tub added in to the tub surround. We've cut the surface out, so now we can see the inside of that tub. I'm going to go back into 2D. And one thing that I like to show in here is you also have the ability to take advantage of surfaces. So right now we've added that surface in as a tub surround. And if I go back to my surfaces and I go to general surfaces, I can go in and say add elements. And I can say water. I'll leave it at 1 inch thick, but under the appearance tab, I'm going to change the look of the material to be water. And what this will allow me to do is if I go down to landscape materials and we take a look through here, there should be some water in here. And we're just going to go water good, say okay. This is just a warning letting you know that what you're applying this to is not something that we would be typically applying to. And in this case, I'm going to say yes, allow it. I'm using the surface to create the look of water. So while normally I wouldn't have water applied to surfaces, I'm going to allow it for this instance. So I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to say okay. So now what I can do is I can actually just trace the same area that I just added in the cutout in. Again, it's going to be a flat surface, but I want this to sit, we'll say 1 foot, we'll say 1'9". Let's do 1'8". So we'll do 1'8" high, and we'll say okay. And then again, we're just going to curve the edges so that it fits within that tub area. And what this is going to do is going to give us the ability to have the look of water in our bathtub. And as you can see there, it's still a bit high. It's going past our overflow valve here, but it gives you the look of the water in the bathtub to just again help with the realism in your renderings. Now we added in a floor in here and it's kind of covering the bath or in the shower area. So you can go in and you can adjust the floor. You can add in your own floor in the shower if you want to. As far as plumbing fixtures go, back under interiors and plumbing fixtures, if you want to add in your sinks, you can just add in your sinks into your countertops. You can also add in different types of sinks, again, depending on what it is that you're trying to insert. So here we have a rectangular drop-in sink. There is a rectangular counter sink, so this will sit on top of the countertop. We have faucets that you can add in. So you can just go down here to showers, faucets and fixtures. Depending on the style, you can drop in whatever faucet system you want. For your bathtubs, we can use different bathtub options. I'm just trying to find the one that I want here. We'll use this one here and we'll place this one in. And then we'll rotate it around. So now we're getting a faucet for our bathtub. And then our showers options as well. So you can just do like a shower and place it in up against this wall, like so. So once you get comfortable with this, you can add in your materials so that they sit exactly where you want, and then you can elevate them into place. So you go elevate, and this should be 1 foot 11 inches because that's where it sits on top of our surface. So the last thing I want to show is the toilet. So we can select our plumbing fixtures, and again, we can select our toilets, and we can bring these in. Now, with collision turned on, it's going to place the back of the toilet up against the wall, and we can place this anywhere we want to. We can also go in and say right click, enter insertion offset, and I can say, well, I want to make sure that I can get the lid off of the toilet. So I'm going to make sure that I have at least an inch space between the toilet and the wall. And then based on my code in my area, how far do I want to leave between my toilet and any other fixture in my design, be that a wall, a bathtub, what have you. So we can adjust these values to say whatever we want. So the minimum distance is going to be 11 inches on either side is what I'm going to say here. And we're going to say, okay. So what that will do is, as you can see, I have plenty of room in here to move this toilet left and right because it's saying that is 11 inches from the tub surround, that's 11 inches from the wall, and we can see the 1 inch away from the back of the wall itself. So I can now place that toilet in, and it now sits that toilet exactly where we would want it to sit. So that covers everything that I wanted to go over in today's class. So I'm just going to open up the questions and answers section. So if you do have a question, please feel free to go ahead and type that in. While I wait for questions to come through, I'm just going to go over a quick review of what we've covered in today's class because there was quite a bit. So in today's class, we went through how to design a bathroom, and we looked at how you can insert predefined catalog elements or how you can create your own custom bath elements using the Envisioneer building tools. We went through and we looked at how each cabinet in the catalog can be edited to reflect your custom materials and sizes, and how you can also create new ones on the fly. We then looked at our walls on we looked at walls and how walls in the same location cannot be stacked on top of each other. So if you want to stack a glass wall on top of a framed wall, you will need to create a new location. And then we also looked at using the walls tool to build a tub enclosure. And then we also used the surfaces tool to create a custom platform top for it. Then after we inserted our bathtub, we cut the surface away to show the opening into the tub itself. So again, I'm just going to open up the questions and answers section just to see if anybody has any questions. I'm not seeing anything yet, so I'm just going to pause here just to see if anybody has any questions up to this point. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the class, I will be sending out an email that's going to contain a document that covers everything that we've talked about in today's class. Should you happen to have any questions while going over that document, again, please don't hesitate. You can reach out to our support department, and they will be happy to answer any of your questions. Perfect. Well, there doesn't appear to be any questions, so I do want to thank everybody for attending today. I do look forward to speaking with you all again very soon. Thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.